So what we had to do is it's important to understand how search engines like Google work, and I try to keep it very short. And they use, it's kind of like a Mean Girls popularity contest. When other relevant authoritative sites in your space are talking about you and linking to you, that increases what we call your general domain authority.
Okay.
And that establishes you as an authoritative site about that topic. Now, that also increases the chances and likelihood of you being able to rank for those relevant keywords. So what we had to do was to then, once we have these pieces of linkable assets created, aka these blog posts, we had to go through a variety of different strategies, find other blog posts that would these pieces that we had created would fit in nicely, and incentivize these guys to actually give us a link back and start talking about us.
This is another episode of the Automate and Grow podcast. My guest today is Farzad Rashidi, and he's from a company called Rispana. And he is the CEO and co-founder of Rispana. And they came out of another company, right, that you rolled out of?
Yes, absolutely. It's called Visme, the parent company.
So first of all, thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure.
So maybe for people that don't know, what is Rispana?
Already. So Rispana, the way I kind of put it in a sentence or two is a all-in-one brand promotion software, which allows other brands, especially tech companies, to connect with relevant bloggers and journalists to spread the word about their business.
Oh, interesting. So this was primarily started as a result of what? Like, what kind of problem were you trying to solve when you started Rispana?
For sure. So, it was kind of quite an accident how we came up with the whole idea of Rispana and how it came to be as a product. So just to kind of give you a little bit of a backstory, I joined as the first marketing hire at our parent company called Visme. And for folks who haven't heard about us, have you heard about us, Michael?
I have now.
No? All right. Well, well, that's great. But in short, basic Visme will compete with tools like Prezi or Canva, if you've heard about them.
Yep.
It's an all-in-one brand and content creation software where you can create, presentations, infographics, and whatnot. So the company was bootstrapped in 2013 by Payman Taei. And he started the company basically from zero, and about 4 years ago, I believe. Damn, that's a long time ago. Now that I look back, but
it was fast, right?
You're right. Yeah, I know. So I joined in about 4 years in, and basically when I joined at the company at the time, it was the product Visme was still in beta. We had a few hundred thousand users, but it was a freemium software, and it is up to this day. So it's, the user, obviously a fraction of our paying customers. So at the time, the company was, gaining some traction, getting some buzz here and there, especially the Canva and us kind of started around the same time. But the difference was that Canva had raised $300 million and we were at zero.
That's crazy, right? How much they raised. It's
super competitive market.
It's crazy.
Didn't start that way, but then Canva kind of brought a whole, flow of, competitors to us every single month here and there. So basically the way I strategized the whole marketing aspect of Visme was to focus on putting together a flywheel on getting customers in without having to go and chase after every single customer. So basically, we started relying heavily on SEO and organic traffic to grow the company, because that kind of gives you that nice little hockey stick growth instead of relying on paid ads, because we obviously couldn't compete with like a Canva that was just pouring cash into paid advertising, or doing cold outreach because our subscription fees were small. So obviously we were still at the higher end of the market, but the market was in $20, $30 worth of subscriptions a month. It's just not worth that cold outreach. So instead, what we did was to start building this basically structure that ideally when other customers are looking for solutions that would, potentially ideally become Visme customers at some point, would organically find us via Google. And basically what we did, and let me ask you this actually. What's the first thing? Let's say you have a pitch tomorrow, you have a client call, you want to put together a presentation, you don't want to use PowerPoint because it's ugly. What's the first thing you do to go and look for a new solution?
Oh, for presentations, you mean? I guess it depends, like if it's, presentations or pitch, depending on what it is.
Right. But I'm saying like for any solution in general. Normally
you're going to search Google and it's going to come up. Yeah.
Yeah. You just go on Google, like best presentation tools or presentation software, and try to kind of come up with a few options to choose from. So basically, that's exactly what we did. We put ourselves in the shoes of a customer or a potential customer, and we're like, okay, what are some of the keywords that people would ideally search to find us? And we come up with a few or a handful of parent keywords. And these are like super high volume, but super high competitive keywords. Like, for example, for Visme would have been presentation, infographics, like social graphics, this sort of stuff, because we are all-in-one design software. And then what we did was to put together landing pages for each and every single one of these. So for example, for presentation, we have a presentation software landing page, or for infographic, we have a infographic software landing page. So that when people are looking for presentation software, that will pop up. But that's easier said than done, because if you go on right now on Google and look up, for example, presentation software, it's like 250,000, or excuse me, yeah, that's almost 250, 250,000,000 search results pop up for that target keyword. And, a lot of SEO agencies, they're like, yeah, so build an optimized site, build a good site, right? But it's a lot more complicated, because out of that 250 million, I would say at least 1 million of them are decent sites. And out of that million, 99.9% of clicks go to the first top 10 page on the first page.
Right.
So to get those babies up in the rankings, what we had to do was to establish ourselves, or establish what we call a topical authority for those target keywords. So what we did was that via content marketing. So we started a blog on our site, and then for each parent keyword that we had a landing page for, or a money page, we created a silo of content, which is a fancy word for saying like a category of content for those keywords. For example, for presentation keyword, we have a presentation software landing page. We have a category in our blog called presentation. For example, tips on how to give a good presentation, yada, yada, yada. Now, what we did is that we go out and actually promote this specific blog post and build backlinks to them through a variety of different strategies. And what happens is that based on, we also included internal links from our site. So from each and every single one of these blog posts, there's an internal link to our main landing page. So what happens is that when we go out and promote these blog posts and build backlinks to them, through outreach, which I'm going to get into this here in a sec, they pass the link authority to these money pages and they push them up the rankings. Now, let me tell you what the results are. Visme right now is getting over 1.5 million organic traffic to our site every single month.
Wow, that's crazy.
We're doubling that year over year. That's worth about $1.4 million worth of AdWords per month that we're getting for free, quote unquote. Also, we're getting anywhere between 22 to 25,000 new users a day.
Wow.
Our platform with no little to
no ad spend. That's crazy. Yeah. And then what is, so, I mean, I guess, this is always where the challenge comes in for me with SEO, because I think there's a lot of snake oil people out there around it, and it just feels like a very, very long, painful process. So when you built this tool, was it to cut through that, or because you knew what the system was that it just required so much volume? Like what was the big reason you built it? Like, and what did it solve that problem?
Exactly. Well, thank you for the segue. This is exactly what it's going to.
You're welcome.
So basically what we did was, the whole process of creating quality blog posts that were well-researched and well-written, and having these internal links to these landing pages, that site structure was solid. That was a good platform. But, having a internal link from our own site to our own page is like my mom saying, oh, Farzad's very handsome. It's not very credible, right? So so what we had to do is, it's important to understand how search engines like Google work, and I try to keep it very short. And they use, it's kind of like a Mean Girls popularity contest. When other relevant authoritative sites in your space are talking about you and linking to you, that increases what we call your general domain authority.
Okay,
that establishes you as an authoritative site about that topic. Now, that also increases the chances and likelihood of you being able to rank for those relevant keywords. So what we had to do was to then, once we have these pieces of linkable assets created, aka these blog posts, we had to go through a variety of different strategies, find other blog posts that would, these pieces that we had created would fit in nicely, and incentivize these guys to actually give us a link back and start talking about us. Coupled with going on podcasts, getting some press exposure, getting on top 10 presentation tools lists.
I see. Okay.
Yada, yada, yada. All of those require you to go out of your way to actually reach out to all these bloggers, to these journalists, to these podcasters, right?
I see.
Now, that process was excruciatingly difficult and time consuming because we had the whole team to find these opportunities, another team to find the contacts, another team to reach out, another team to personalize the pitches. Very, very expensive and very slow. So I tried pretty much every single tool that was out in the market that you can name, because for us, that was our core marketing initiative. And we couldn't really find anything that would fit our standards. They were either like mass and spam tools, which I'm sure you've received tons of emails from yourself, or there were tools that were just built to kind of keep track of your relationships and kind of acting like a CRM, but wasn't really helping with the outreach process itself. So anyways, long story short, what we did was to build that whole outreach platform in-house as an internal software. And that was kind of how Rispana was born. And then what happened was that it 10x our productivity compared to manual outreach. And also at the same time, cut 80% of our outreach costs because we let go of all of our data research team, but we basically simplified the process down to the minute. We canceled a bunch of paid subscriptions to other tools. And right now, the only tools we use is really Ahrefs and Rispana. And that was kind of the aha moment. And we were like, guys, this is ridiculous. Like, if this can help us this much, I'm sure it can help it.
It's like a whole category and a problem that people have, right? Like for me, like it's always been voodoo. Like it's like, like, do I believe this is going to work? Obviously, you see, I see maybe it's just the sheer lack of a strategy or understanding of what's the mechanical thing and what's the end goal, right? So that it's probably like what you've done is created a platform where it's realistic to, okay, look, the activity you need to gain, backlinks are not just some magical word. This is something that someone's job is daily to go find and connect and then measure the results on. And I think that's what you're saying your tool does for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing to also keep in mind is that it's just one piece of the puzzle. Not saying if you use Rispana, you're going to become a millionaire tomorrow. Yeah, that's just simplifying and streamlining a part. It's a big part.
Yeah, sounds like
it's a part, right? Now, normally SEO, there's two sides to it. It's called on-page and off-page. On-page is building up to my site, having that structure that I just walk you through, creating quality pieces of content that are well researched, that you've done the keyword research for. These are highly, high volume keywords, but with low competition, but with high commercial intent. And basically, I wrote actually a book on this. It's called Marketing Strategies We Used to Bootstrap Visme to 4 million users. Folks, if you are listening at home, you can just Google Visme marketing strategy and it will pull up. And it's a free ebook. I kind of walk folks into, through every single step that goes into from finding these opportunity keywords all the way down to how to write them and how to hire for these positions. But once you have these linkable assets, then that's when Rispana comes into play. Is that, okay, now let's go and build some backlinks, because it doesn't matter how much content you have on your site. If nobody's coming to your site, that's worthless. We need to get people on the site. And that's another issue with a lot of business owners, is that a lot of, especially I see in tech, that people just throw spaghetti on the wall. They just basically put words on the site and then there's crickets. And then they're like, okay, what's happening?
Right. Yeah.
Right. And their solution is normally just to go hire an agency, which, is a hit or miss. Let's be honest here.
Yeah.
everybody says they're an SEO expert nowadays.
And you still don't know how they're achieving success necessarily.
Yeah. So, and that's when the off-page side of things come into play, is that they basically, it's a matter of promotion. So getting your name out there so that, you increase your page authority and your domain authority on our site. And, that's another thing, that we also eat our own dog food. So Rispana, our own domain, rispana.com, we acquired the domain mid last year. We started the promotion because we didn't have our new site ready until January this year. The site now has a DR of 70, which is in the top, I don't remember the rankings, the top 100,000 website in the world. And the traffic is also on a hockey stick going up. We actually look it up on tools like SEMrush, on Moz, or on Ahrefs. That's the metric I'm quoting from. Ahrefs.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's going up.
We use SEMrush. I mean, I think it's the second plug I've given them this week accidentally, but.
Yeah, no. SEMrush is a great software. I actually presented at a webinar with Larry Kim the other week. A great software. Doesn't matter. I mean, they all do the similar type of job.
Is Larry Kim the guy behind the Messenger product too? Mobile Monkey, yeah. University of Waterloo guy?
Yeah, he's the founder of WordStream.
Oh, wow. No way. Okay.
Yeah,
interesting. I wonder if it's the same guy. That's interesting. Sorry. It was just kind of the name caught my... Oh, it is. It's the same guy.
Yeah.
Wow. He's got a couple of ventures going on there. I didn't realize that. Anyways, sorry, I didn't interrupt.
I mean, that's how Mobile Monkey is getting their business too, is through organic search and SEO. But you need to know your game.
Right.
And, and it's not rocket science. Like, it sounds very daunting. Like, when I talk to especially our Rispana customers, because we do a lot of hand-holding, and obviously it costs us more to spend the time to do this. But as I said, we're just creating success stories at this point. We don't care about that dollars and cents. But mostly when I talk to customers, they're like, hey, man, we're a team with like 3 people. Like, we can't do all the stuff that you're telling us. It's all fancy. And, what I always say is that it's not a matter of the amount of resources you have. It's a matter of dedication of resources. And it's actually basically the rule we use is called 80-20, which is used in everything.
Yeah, Pareto principle. Yeah.
Right.
Great Italian economist who's impacted our lives.
Right. Well, that's a different use case, like achieving 80% with 20% resources. What we say is that it's 20% content creation and 80% promotion for you to actually have a successful SEO strategy, which is people do it is the exact opposite ratio. And
so you're saying, sorry, if I understand this correctly, spend less time, stop creating so much content, get the content you've created out there.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes a lot of sense. And when I look at the SEMrush, for example, I'll use Visme as the example. I was going to mention this because, a lot of times what you see is almost a one-to-one between search traffic and keyword. Whereas what I see in Visme is I see 2.8 million keywords, 2.8 million clicks, if you will, like visits, on only 620,000 keywords. So that's kind of what you're saying, which is more activity per article or blog or piece of content.
Absolutely. I mean, I see folks that have like 1,000 blog posts on their site that paid someone,
that's a
random freelancer on Fiverr, and they just pop out articles like hotcakes. And then they sit back, they're like, oh, why is this no traffic coming to our site? I'm like, no wonder. Publish one good quality blog post a month.
Interesting.
Everybody can do that. And then go promote the heck out of it. And you don't even need Rispana for that.
That's interesting.
It's always an excuse. You can just do this manually yourself.
Right.
And obviously it's time consuming and annoying. And once you want to scale, then that's what Rispana helps. But you don't even need to do it. You don't even need our software to do this. It's something that you can easily do yourself manually.
But what it sounds like is Rispana lets you do it in a systematic way to find the contacts on podcasts and blog posts, and then to basically measure it afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. So it will help you find the right opportunities to reach out to, whether it be other blog posts, whether it be other journalists, whether it be other podcasts. and it will find the direct verified contact information of the right person for you on autopilot, which is our secret sauce, something that took us a year and a half to develop. And also it helps you to send out deeply personalized messages so they don't look like a template email that somebody just put in some variables in there and sent out because, good luck with getting a response that way in a matter of a few seconds instead of you having to sit down and do all the research and read through the articles and that. So it basically makes it very systematic, the whole promotion cycle of things, so that somebody can come in and within, I would say, 10 to 15 minutes, launch a campaign and let it run on autopilot.
I love it. All right. So if people want to check out Rispana or get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, so if you go to Rispana.com, that Respona.com, you can definitely sign up for a demo. Normally, and we don't call it. We call it the demo because that's what's really well known in the software business. But it's more of a, I would say, a consulting session to kind of try to figure out whether it's the right fit or not.
Okay.
And normally people do this for very expensive products, but our product starts from like $95 a month. So it's
that's very reasonable. Yeah.
Right. But we do this anyway. It's just a matter of figuring out whether it's the right fit. And a lot of the times I tell people, hey, don't pay for this just yet. Go fix your site first. Go fix, build some content, build some assets, because building links to a site that doesn't have any foundation is pointless. It's just building a house on top of a weak foundation, right? So you got to have to make sure that you have all the other pieces ready. So now it's time to pour some gasoline on this fire. That's when Rispana comes into play.
I love it. All right. I'm going to wrap with a few quick questions. First of all, thank you for joining me today. I want to acknowledge you for the work that you're doing with Rispana, and we're excited to see how that progresses.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And for bringing light to the dark arts of SEO.
Anytime.
All right. If you were to recommend only one book that people read in the whole world, what would that book be?
Ooh, that's a very, very tough question. Up until this point, okay, it was Lost and Founder by Rand Fishkin.
Great book, and Rand's been on the podcast.
Right. Yes. Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Rand's the Wizard of Moz.
Yeah. He's a great friend of ours. A great guy. I've learned a ton from him. If you want to learn SEO, don't learn it from me.
My God.
Learn it from Rand.
Yeah, he's the master, isn't he?
He's the man. Yes, for sure. And but up until I would say a few weeks ago, but I've started to read A Promised Land by Barack Obama, and
cool.
Yeah, I don't care what affiliation you are, politics wise. I just didn't know words could be so beautiful.
He's an eloquent guy, right? And I think I thought he was a very good leader, no matter what. Like whether you agree with policy or whatever, I don't really care. But I think that was the right person at the right time. So, and that's an interesting book I heard. And I haven't checked that out, but I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah.
And I'll put a second in for Rand's book, which is Lost and Founder, which is, again, there's an earlier episode if you check back with Rand Fishkin from Moz, and it's a very raw look at what his startup journey was with Moz. And I think that it was very vulnerable, and he's got a great new startup called SparkToro, so you can always check that out.
Yeah, SparkToro is a great software. We actually are looking to integrate with them sometime next year. I had a conversation with Rand to plug SparkToro into Rispana because they do the analytics and kind of opportunity finder part of things, and we handle the outreach. So it's a perfect complementary product, which we're going to discuss. I talked to him and he said, hey, it's too early now, so let's circle back here. And
that's great. You keep some good company. So on that topic, Jim Rohn says that you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So who do you spend the most time with, Farzad? And it can be in personal work, whatever.
Well, I would say it's my co-founder, Payman, who is the CEO of, so he's the co-founder of Rispana and also the founder and CEO of Visme. He's really been a great mentor for me, and not only just work-wise, but he's kind of been an older brother. I've learned tricks of the world and the SaaS world from him. So I would say, and then he's actually sitting right next to me, his office right next to me. So
hi, Payman. All right. How are you, Farzad, changing the world?
Changing the world is a very big word. I'm changing a part of the world, and that's a small part of the world, and that's the SEO world of things. And I'm helping other folks, helping other businesses to get the word out about whatever it is they're doing. And I think every business is changing the world in a way. And collectively, if we can get them to be successful, then we're changing the world too. So that I would say is the thing we're doing.
Love it.
In a nutshell.
I mentioned before that we've started founderspack.io as a way for founders to connect with other founders. And I did that in part because I believe that entrepreneurs are who change the world. So I'm excited to hear how you're doing it. The final thing that we will end with is when we have interesting people on the podcast, we like you to nominate other interesting people. We typically talk to experts or entrepreneurs, been making a point of talking to SaaS entrepreneurs, but not limited to that. Mm-hmm. So who would you, Farzad, like to nominate and introduce us to as a future guest of Automate and Grow?
Smart. Very smart question. I don't know why other podcasts aren't doing this. This is perfect.
Don't steal my thunder, guys.
Yeah, I know. I've been on a lot.
You can do it, whatever.
Yeah, I've been on a few handful of podcasts and nobody's done this. So very, very kudos to you. I would say Payman, but obviously I'll be biased to say that. But
that's good.
Yeah, sure. But whom I would recommend though is PJ Taei, who is a very interesting person to talk to. He's actually Payman's brother as well, but he is the founder and CEO of a company called Uscreen, which is a video monetization platform. And they've just blown up, these guys, especially this year, especially that with COVID and all that, everything's gone online. These guys are killing it out there. Like their growth is astronomical and ridiculous. So, and a great guy to also talk to, very knowledgeable. I've learned a ton from him personally. So I would love to put you guys in touch.
That would be terrific. Okay, so Payman, you have been nominated. So we're happy to talk to him. And PJ, is that, and you said PJ is his brother?
PJ, yes.
Okay, so we got the brother act. They can come on together if they really want, or we could do them separately. And I will ask one other, which you kind of got my attention with Larry Kim. If you know Larry, I'd love to talk to Larry about what he's doing. He's got a lot of interesting stuff. But if you can make an introduction there, that'd be great too.
Yeah, would love to. Yeah, not a problem.
Terrific. Thank you so much for spending time with me today, Farzad. We're excited to check out Rispana and follow your entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you very much for the invitation. And looking forward to catching up.
Likewise. This has been another episode of the Automate and Grow podcast. We will see you on a future episode, hopefully with PJ, Payman, and maybe even Larry. This has been Automate and Grow.